Good evening, everybody. We got here a 1v1 pro game on Arabia, and it is between Licks and BacT. So let's get right into it as they start in the Dark Age. So Licks playing as the Indians in the red to the west, and then to the east side of the map is BacT playing as the Cumans. So interesting to see what decisions they do go for. Both very strong in different ways economically, and so we'll likely see a fast feudal from the Cuman player and two town centers. That is the way that it typically plays out. Taking a look at the maps, having this front wood line does make it easier to wall off. Not exactly ideal, but not too bad at all for BacT. When we're taking a look at Licks, though, much more open on the front. He will have much more walls. He is kind of closed off here, so we might see just walls into the town center. But unlikely at this point in time that we'll see a full wall from Licks, as the players are just pushing in their ostriches, getting their boars, and scouting out their maps. So they will have found their sheep at around this point in time, and of course BacT will be going forward, see what he can pull off, see if he'll do any lames, any pulls, and he does see the boars getting called in. He did see where the town center's at. Taking a look at Licks, Licks is just starting to go out as well, scouting out the enemy to see where exactly he is, and a bit of a mistake there. BacT gets a goat, and so he will have that extra little bit of food, and Licks will have just that little bit less food, which is going to be vital moving forward. I will just slow down now, as they are almost in the next age. BacT choosing to go up with one less villager, and the wall-offs already starting for him with this nice little side, and he will likely just wall to the north of his town center as well. So now, of course, BacT choosing to go for a stable right off the bat, right into Feudal Age, and Licks will hit Feudal Age just shortly after, and he is in no position, obviously, as well, to be going for a fast castle, so he is going for an archery range. We will see scouts versus archers right off the bat, and let's see exactly what plays out, because obviously one or two scouts beats one or two archers. But once you get up to that mass of archers, it is very difficult for scouts to be getting in close and engaging against the enemy. Now, taking a look at resources, of course, we do see BacT has pretty good food count, but he will be having to go send quite a few villagers over to berries to keep up his economy enough to build those scouts. And there we go. There it is, that second town center on the berries, on the wood. That will provide a little bit of protection, definitely, from the archers that will be coming across. And BacT knows exactly what is coming from the Indian players, and that is archers across the field. But already a few scouts out in defense. That will be no problem for BacT to fight back against. Now, one thing to note, only 2 villagers for Licks on gold, so of course that will add a little bit of distress on his economy, as he will be wanting to continue to produce archers. He's got fletching coming in, but with only 2 villagers on gold at this point in time, it will be tough for him to maintain that archer production, especially with now more scouts in. This villager, unless a quick wall can happen, which is unlikely at this point in time, that villager will be going down. That is 1 villager down. Now they are tied for villagers, and of course we do see an archer comes over, and an archer dies from the town center. That is the beauty of playing as the Cumans. You do get that little bit of extra defense from that town center right in the Feudal Age, and we're going to see the villager number for BacT really start to increase. And look at that, a bit of an overchop from Licks. The scouts able to pick off another villager, but now that there's this archer out, there's some villagers here, and there's a spearman. These scouts will have to run away, but not before they engage and take out 1 more archer. So seeing quite a bit of damage so far on Lix's economy. Lots of wasted time, lots of wasted villagers, as he now has 2 town centers to work against, and he only has the 1, and there is a 5 villager lead for BacT, and only 1 military right now on the field for Lix. So that is going to be that spearman, and a new archer is just out as well. This scout just going to be annoying as possible right now, as BacT wants to waste as much time to the enemy as possible. And we now see more villagers going over to gold, so we will be able to produce archers consistently from within his base. And in the meantime, the villager lead is just increasing and increasing for the Cuman player. Of course, a 6 villager lead at this point in the game is a very big impact. Wall-offs are starting. We do see some skirms coming out in defense. A little bit of wasted time now from the villagers who are coming out of that town center. But unsure at this point in time whether BacT has noticed that or not. Now these 3 skirmishers are enough to fight back this army, definitely. One thing to notice, fletching's not yet in for BacT. It is in for Lix, but skirmishers will always be a good counter towards the archers, much stronger and much better equipped to be fighting against archers. And the name of the game at this point right now is for BacT to just continue with eco. Little bit of a house problem here, but he will be fixing that up. And he will be in the feudal age much longer, as we see a lion taking out this archer. The archer's fine right now, but these scouts will be able to take it out as well. So Lix now on his way up to the castle age. He does not have the military to be doing too much, but he is dropping a stable, so we will be seeing stable units coming out. And of course, castle age stable is just so much stronger than anything that the skirms and scouts can do. So a few camels can completely mop up the army of BacT. Now, of course, we will be looking a little bit into the economy too, as a 16 villager lead for the Cuman player will definitely make an impact. So this is where the momentum will be swinging the other way. And now we definitely need to see BacT just hold off while the enemy is in the next age. Until BacT can make it up to the next age, which he is still quite a ways away, he will need to just maintain, and in the meantime, Lix will be trying to catch up with economy, dropping a 2nd and a 3rd town center right off the bat. And we see some scouts coming out. Those will be able to engage. An interesting move to go scouts versus scouts, but of course, does have +1 attack. And does have +1 defense, and a monastery coming out in defense as well. Monastery, of course, interesting choice, and BacT, all you need to do is turn around and hit this spearman 1 time and your villager will be totally fine. But instead, BacT just looking to waste some time. He does have the skirmishers in the back here, and oh my goodness, you can't be losing this villager to this spearman. Just turn around and yep, that is it. Spearman takes out that villager. Spearman with 2 HP, a little bit of a miss there, but of course BacT has quite a bit on his plate. So the first camel's out, and that will completely destroy these 4 skirmishers. As 4th town center now for Lix, he will be looking to catch up as quickly as possible into the next age. And he will be cutting that villager lead down significantly, but it is currently at 17 villager difference. So with 4 town centers early in the castle age, it is difficult to maintain a strong military presence while also producing out of this many town centers. So much resources has to go into the food required, the wood required for those farms, and of course that is what Lix is focusing in on right now. He wants to be maintaining villager production out of all 4 of these town centers so he can cut down any advantage that BacT has. But BacT will have archers coming out fairly soon. They will be crossbows, and crossbows destroy everything that Lix has at this point in time. Cavalry archers are starting to come out for Lix a little bit here, but out of only 1 archery range, it's just the one there. That will not be enough to really mass up against this many crossbows. Of course, Camel moving forward with a couple of scouts that will cause a little bit of damage, but it won't be able to get in at this point in time. As we see the archers are forward, these will be turning into crossbows right now, and already getting the upgrades for these crossbows. Ballistics coming in at this point in time, and these crossbows will have to take out quite a few villagers because Lix is starting to catch up. Now only a 9 villager lead for the Cuman player, and we do have cavalry archers attacking on the front already. They will be able to range this wood line, but we do see on the other side these 11 crossbows will be breaking in. Lots of villager time spent to take a little bit of a break from these crossbows, but this many crossbows can engage against the scorpions, so that is no problem. But smart of Lix to be repairing that scorpion, and that will be enough to push back the crossbows for now, as a second scorpion is coming out. And when we look at BacT, he is on his 3rd town center right now, so just the 3, but he's going to maintain that little bit of a villager lead for now, as Lix is still on the 4 town centers and still trying to produce as much as possible. Obviously, now that military has come into play, not able to produce quite as many villagers as he would like. That is 200 food every time a villager is created, and there are villagers queued up in all of these town centers. We do have pikemen and crossbow though. Pikeman crossbow, a very, very formidable form, a very, very tough thing for the Indians to engage against. Of course, scorpions being some of the best responses, because if you make camels, they're going to fall like crazy. And speaking of falling like crazy, lots of dead villagers there, a couple of free kills, no crossbows dead yet, but a couple more scorpion bolts might be taking out a few of these, as we see more crossbows on the other wood lines, and BacT just wrapping around, trying to take out as much as he can of Lix's economy, trying to force him into this corner, as we see a siege workshop up on that hill on the front, and BacT is saying, let's get this over with. Economically, BacT still with an 11 villager lead, so he is in a good position right now. And Lix mixing up again, adding more scout cavalry, now light cavalry into the mix. He's got camels, scorpions, monks, light cav. He's made archers, he's made spearmen, so quite a big variety. And the crossbows are actually in on the back, so might be able to pick off a couple more villagers. Of course, with ballistics already in, 2 more villagers go down right off the bat, and there's a 3rd, and this army will get cleaned up, but the army doesn't care, because the army's purpose is to take out villagers. So the villager lead does stay maintained, as a castle is getting dropped right on the front of Lix's base. Lix is in shambles, surrounded at all sides, and all he has as a response is a few light cavalry, a few camels, and not quite enough to engage at this point in time. As we see 2 mangonels on the front, castle will go up definitely, and this monastery will fall, and all of the military buildings for Lix will fall. He does clean up this little army in the back, but now the villager count once again is creeping ahead for BacT, and this castle will be able to destroy some of the economy on the front, destroy the military buildings, and these mangonels are just going to help to take out that town center, as BacT has 10 villagers taking the gold that is forward in Lix's base, and Lix knows the only way he's getting out of this is to go on the offensive. He is going to send everything he's got, which is not a whole lot forward, but there are pikemen just waiting to attack on the other side, and we are 31 minutes, game time minutes into this game. The town center on the front is going down, and we already see Kipchaks coming out from those castles. This town center is going to be denied at this point in time, and a couple of shots actually might even destroy this town center, but it seems unlikely at this point in time. Imperial Age is coming in for Lix. Lix knows he needs to go Imp. He needs some sort of advantage somewhere. Not sure how I feel about the Imperial Age upgrade. He is not necessarily in a position where his economy is much better, and he can take advantage of those upgrades that do come with the Imperial Age. He doesn't have a castle to be taken out. He will be building a castle pretty shortly in the Imperial Age, so of course will be wanting to get a trebuchet and take out this castle in front of his base. But there's already a second castle forward for the Cuman player. Kipchaks will start to mass up great units, highly mobile, high attack. They do have lower HP, but they are a very strong unit, and in mass can do a lot of damage. So Lix does hit the next age. He does have enough stone for a castle, and he drops it right in the center of his farming economy. He wants to protect these farms as much as possible because he doesn't have much else. There's nowhere really for him to go, as battering rams are starting to come out, and BacT is already on his way up to the next age. These scorpions will be able to take out the pikemen, but not before a couple of free shots go out. At this point in time, Lix is going to try to make a run for it, maybe, but there is nowhere he can go with this many Kipchaks on the field. Villagers are trying to get away. Kipchaks are already in the economy, and they will be taken out by this castle, of course. But the upgrade's not quite there yet, as castle does go up in defense for Lix because he knows he can't make it too far. And the mangonel it falls so quickly to the Kipchaks. That's the issue here. More villagers will definitely fall. The castle will likely go up, but it won't be easy, to say the least. The Kipchaks will start to lose HP, and now we do have light cav coming around, and Lix is forced into this little corner. He doesn't have access to relics anymore. He does have his two castles, he does have a farming economy, and he's lucky to have this gold in the back, but that's about it. This forward gold is gone, and this really forward gold has already been taken by the enemy. So these trebuchets, of course, they are able to do a little bit of damage on this castle. The castle will actually likely fall, the one that's to the north, but this one to the east of Lix, it does stay up, and the light cav actually pushing back the battering rams. They are capped rams. Obviously, Cumans getting the capped ram a little bit earlier there, but these three relics being lost is big for Lix. So now, of course, this massive villagers looking to gain some sort of advantage, and that advantage is just going to be economic. As we see, he's going to go back to his own base. BacT knows that he's ahead right now. I don't know if he knows that he's 50 villagers ahead right now, but he knows he's ahead. He knows all he needs to do is maintain his advantage. He's got the crossbows, he's got the halberdiers. Really what he needs to start doing is taking out buildings, production buildings. That's all that's keeping Lix alive right now, and Lix has weathered the storm. Surprisingly enough, he went from fully covered to going on the offensive. Not too many light cav, but enough light cavalry at this point in time. But there are Cuman castles all across the map that will be taken out to light cav. There are halberdiers sitting here, sitting there, ready and waiting for the enemy to come forward. And gold is going to start to be a problem for Lix the longer this game goes on. This group of light cavalry, now hussars, that is strong. They will be able to raid, but raiding underneath the town centers with just this few numbers falls apart really quick, especially the halberdiers. Now the helbs will go down, and there you go, light cav. Now hussars unable to do too much damage. Realistically, the army of BacT is running back. But Lix now moving out, actually, expanding his economy. He does have access to this front gold. He will no doubt collect up these relics once again. Obviously, that's on his plan. And there are siege rams on the castle on the front. Will this castle be able to go up? There are a lot of villagers going forward, and it's not quite enough. Lix calls the GG, and that is it. Perfect play by BacT to just starve out the enemy. Great game.